Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be going through equations. So let's have a look at number 1. We have 3x plus 7 equal to 22. What we need to do is, because we are solving for x, we're going to isolate x. So we're going to keep x on one side and move everything else to the right hand side. But how do we go about doing that? So we need to go back and look at what we did in the previous years. We basically used inverse operations. So we would go 22 and we'd look at plus 7 and the inverse of positive 7 is negative 7. So in order to get rid of plus 7, I have to minus 7 on the left hand side. But whatever you do to the left hand side, you've got to do to the right hand side. So if I rewrite the sum and I have 3x plus 7 equal to 22, what I've got to do is, if I want to get rid of plus 7 on the left hand side, I have to minus 7, because 7 minus 7 will give me 0. So whatever I do to the left hand side, I have to do to the right hand side. So what am I left with on the left hand side? I'll be left with 3x, because 7 minus 7 will give me 0. And on the right hand side, I'm going to have 22 minus 7. Okay, so I work out 22 minus 7, and then I would put it down, and I've got 15 here. Okay, now you've got 3x equal to 15. Now 3x means 3 times x. So the inverse of times would be divide. So if I've got 3 times x, I've got to divide by 3 on the left hand side to get rid of the 3, and therefore divide by 3 on the right hand side. Whatever you do to the left hand side, you've got to do to the right hand side. So 3 divided by 3 will give me 1. So I'm left with 1x, which is just x, equal to, and then here I've got 15 divided by 3, which would give me 5. Now, if you want to check if your answer is correct, you can go back to the beginning and say, okay, so at the beginning I had 3x plus 7. So that would be 3. Now what is my x? My x is 5. I've worked it out to be 5. So 3 times 5 plus 7. 3 times 5 is 15, and 15 plus 7 would give me 22. So therefore the left-hand side of the equation would equal the right-hand side of the equation. So therefore my answer is correct. Okay, but you can just use this to just check and see if you get back to the same answer. Okay, right, now let's go and look at number 2. Number 2, we have 11 minus 5x equal to 26. Now, don't let this confuse you, because it's written the other way around to the first sum. So you got your 11 first, followed by your minus 5x. You just follow the same rule here. You're going to say to yourself, okay, what do I have on the left-hand side? I need to isolate my x. So I'm going to leave my x on the left-hand side, and I'm going to move whatever number I have on the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And in this case, it's 11. Now, take note that 11 is positive. So the inverse of positive 11 is going to be negative 11. So I need to subtract 11 on the left-hand side. Therefore, I need to subtract 11 on the right-hand side. So, on the left-hand side, I now have 11 minus 11, which will give me 0. And I'm now left with negative 5x equal to, and here you're going to have 26 subtract 11. So this would give me 15, right? Now, I've got negative 5x, which means negative 5 times x. So the inverse of multiplication is basically going to be division. So I'm going to have to divide by negative 5x here, but negative 5, sorry, if I divide the right-hand side by negative 5. So a negative divided by negative will give me a positive, so I'm left with positive x equal to a positive divided by negative will give me a negative, and 15 divided by 5 will give me 3. So my answer is x equal to negative 3. Now, if you wanted to test what we did in number 1, we could go 11 minus 5 times negative 3. Okay, and that would give me 11, and a negative times a negative will give me a positive. 5 times 3 is 15, and 11 plus 15 will give me 26, which is exactly what we've got there. So we're just testing our answer to make sure that everything is correct. Okay, and in this case, yes, it definitely is correct. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, now let's go on to number 3. Okay, looking at number 3, we have 3x minus 4 equal to negative 6. Okay, same here. Now, we eventually, once you get the idea, you don't have to put minus 11 on both sides, because you eventually understand what you're doing, and then you don't have to do that in the next step. So in number 4, I'll show you, but let's just do it again here because we're learning. It's the first step. So here I'm just rewriting it again. So we've got minus 4. So the inverse of negative 4 is going to be positive 4, because minus 4 plus 4 will give me 0. So whatever you do to the left-hand side, you've got to do to the right-hand side. Because I've plused 4 on the left-hand side, I need to plus 4 on the right-hand side. So I will be left with 3x, because negative 4 plus 4 is 0 on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to have negative 6 plus 4, which gives me negative 2. Okay. Now, we look at the sum and we'll say, okay, 3 times x. So the opposite of your multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by 3 on the side, and therefore I'm going to divide by 3 on the side. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I've got 1x equal to negative 2 over 3. So here we've got, our answer is a fraction. And you can test the fraction again. You could go, okay, this is 3 times negative 2 over 3 minus 4. And then remember that 3 and the 3 will cancel out, and you get left with negative 2 minus 4, which would give me negative 6. Right, so that you've tested your answer, and your answer here is negative 6. So we know that our answer that we've got is correct. So that's how you can check to see if your answers are correct. Okay, especially if you're writing a test and you just want to know, you can test it. Okay, let's have a look at number 4. Number 4, we've got 5x plus 8 equal to 18. And we're going to look at, if I've got right here, I'm not going to write it out like I did in the previous one. Here we're just going to say, okay, I've got plus 8 here. In order to get rid of plus 8, I need to minus 8 on the left-hand side. Therefore, I'm going to minus 8 on the right-hand side. So I'm just going to go straight to 18 minus 8. Okay, and I've got 5x equal to 18 minus 8 will give me 10. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Divide by 5 on the left-hand side, divide by 5 on the right-hand side. And my answer is x equal to 2. Okay, one last one. Number 5. Here we have negative 1 equal to 2x plus 6. And the x on the side is on the right-hand side. So you'd need to move the plus 6 across. Okay, and because this one might confuse you, I'm going to write it out again. Okay, so negative 1 equal to 2x plus 6. And I need to move that across. And to move it across, I'm going to minus 6 on this side and minus on the left-hand side. And I'm going to be left with 2x equal to negative 7. And then what you've got to do is you've got to divide by 2 on the right-hand side, therefore divide by 2 on the left-hand side. And your answer is going to be x equal to negative 7 over 2. So in my next video, I'm going to do equations involving fractions. So you can follow on and have a look at equations involving fractions in my next video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.